Assistant Dorset! Beachborough! I thought I was going to die. 100%.
Where are you?
Prison officer Martin Geddes was ambushed by an inmate who'd called him to his cell.
He sucker punched me, grabbed me, pulled me into the cell, got hold of my baton, and that's the last thing I remember until I came round with the cell full of officers and my friend thinking my throat had been cut because there was that much blood.
Healthcare, we need healthcare!
I suffered a 10-inch laceration to the back of my head requiring 10 staples.
This body-worn footage from officers at Guy's Marsh Prison in Dorset was shown during the trial of the inmate involved, who's been convicted and sent to a secure hospital. 3 years on, Martin still suffers from searing headaches and says it's had a catastrophic impact on his mental health.
The flashbacks were 40 or 50 a day. Of the last image I remember was my baton fully extended above my head. Suicidal thoughts. If it hadn't been for my partner Alison, I would definitely have taken my own life.
The number of prison officers facing attacks at work across both public and private prisons has been rising rapidly since the pandemic. The latest government figures show prison officers were attacked more than 8,500 times over the past year. That works out at 23 attacks per day, and it's an increase of 16% on the previous 12-month period. The Community Trade Union, representing staff at private prisons, warns that without generational reform across the justice system, the violence will get worse. They're calling for all political parties to commit to higher staffing levels, greater support and better pay.
One of our members had boiling hot water poured all over her with sugar. And you can only imagine the impact that has had on her and those life-changing injuries. And we hear stories like that far too often. You know, one is too many, never mind 1 in 4 of our members saying they have been assaulted at work. Action has to be taken to prevent and stamp out assaults.
Sir Bob Neal, the Conservative chair of the Justice Select Committee, agrees major reform is needed and says the problems link back to a lack of investment in prisons and staff, combined with longer sentences.
Overcrowding means that very often you have got restricted regimes, there's a lack of any purposeful activity. That leads to frustration, and often that's directed at the staff that are having to try and contain this, when in some cases they're short-numbered, because we at the same time have a problem with retention of experienced staff.
The Ministry of Justice say the overall level of assaults is still 10% lower than before the pandemic, but violence is never tolerated, so they've increased the maximum penalty for assaulting prison officers and invested £100 million on tough new security measures. But for Martin, it's just not enough.
It's a job I absolutely loved doing, I really did, but I would never go back. I've had to resign because I just don't feel safe on a landing anymore. Go on then. Go.
Until that changes, the cycle of overcrowding, understaffing and violence looks set to continue. Amanda Akass, Sky News.